Well, everyone, I've been trying to make a video like this for so long, and I'm finally in a situation where I'm able to do it. I'm about to cry in tears because this video means so much. As you guys know, I talk a lot about jailbreaking, I talk a lot about modifying phones, and even just modifying all phones, and not even just iPhones, Androids as well. And what I want to do in 2020, I want to start actually modifying these phones and jailbreaking them, custom ROMing them, rooting them, all that stuff for iPhones and Androids. And I want to start showcasing what people can do, and even, people can still bring so much more life and breathe more life into a phone that, might have aged, even like an iPhone 6. So I'll start dropping more videos like this, jailbreaking phones and putting more tweaks on them and seeing how to have like one of the better setups you can and get some of the more features that newer iPhones are capable of having on older iPhones, and not only just showcasing them but also kind of utilizing them, using them, and showing you how much of a better phone you can have by doing something like this per phone. I can do it for all phones, which I've already done, but I want to do it for specific phones and talk about my experience with them. So the iPhone 6 obviously isn't perfect. There's lots of issues all over the place, but a jailbroken iPhone 6 is a whole nother level, okay? And I think there's a common misconception, common things where, oh, if you jailbreak your phone, you're out of your warranty, you're out of this and that. First of all, the iPhone 6 is already out of its warranty. It came out in 2014. It's an old phone anyway. But jailbreaking is so safe, and there's very little ways to mess it up as long as you don't unplug your phone or anything like that. I've already dropped many tutorials on how to do that as well. Now, it's not perfect. The jailbreak still isn't perfect. There's still some things here wrong with it. I'm using the checkring jailbreak specifically on this iPhone 6. But like I said, you can port over a lot of the cooler features of iOS 13 on a phone that's not supported with iOS 13. And on top of that, you can get so many more features, like millions of more features than what the latest iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max have that the iPhone 6 can also support, but more features on top of that for the iPhone 6, which is really, really cool. Now, all names of these repos will be down in the description below, so you can go there and put in the repos and put in the names and download them straight from there if you want to, as well as a tutorial for jailbreaking the iPhone 6. I'll leave that link down in the description. You can check that out and figure out how to do it yourself. Now, first thing, when you boot up the iPhone 6, you'll see that the dock is a little bit different. It looks kind of like the newer dock that's on the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 11 Pro. And this is one of the more minimalistic, one of the more, basic features that I've added, but it's one of those cool things that kind of just breathe more life into your phone. Now, this one is called Modern Dock, and I really do like this. It might seem like a small thing, but the reason I like this is because if you looked at the older dock, that thing looked so outdated. That looked like straight up from like iOS 6 or something like that, which it kind of was. And this one is so much more modern, and it really reminds me of like macOS in a way. And I really do like this dock over the standard dock they have on the iPhone 6. So this one is called Modern Dock. It doesn't increase performance or anything like that, but it definitely makes it look that much more modern, and I really do like that. It's just like a nice little touch that you'll kind of open your iPhone and be like, oh, it's not that old as I might think. Now, the iPhone 6 is kind of slow. It had a dual-core CPU, but it had 1GB of RAM. It had that Apple A8 chip. It wasn't the fastest thing ever. It wasn't even the fastest thing ever when it came out, to be honest. But speed is one of the biggest concerns of the iPhone 6, I can definitely tell you. But the jailbreak tweak called No Slow Animations actually speeds it up by a bit, and I'm actually pretty surprised. At first I couldn't believe it, but it definitely makes the phone feel that much smoother. Now, with the iPhone 6 standardly, I would basically boot it up and I would expect it to be slow and glitchy and this and that, and it's still kind of like that. Obviously, if you open an app, it's not going to, if you have a game loaded, it's not going to speed up the game at all. But basically what this tweak does, it speeds up the app opening speeds of those things. So if you click on settings, it just boosts it up right there. If you go from one screen to the other, basically all the animations, it speeds it up, and you can actually tinker with this in the settings, and I really, really like this tweak a lot. It makes this phone literally almost feel like an iPhone 8 or even like an iPhone 10. It makes it feel that much faster, which is awesome. And if you can make your older phone feel that much faster, I would highly recommend downloading that one. That's one of my favorite ones for older iPhones. Now, going along with the speed of a phone, when you click the home button on the iPhone 6, basically, it takes a visible moment or two for it to actually close the app. With an iPhone 6, if you actually click it now, however, you can actually fix that a little bit by downloading Accelerated Home Button. It actually makes it so as soon as you click it, it just shrinks the app down almost instantaneously, which is actually faster than even on my 11 Pro. If I were to swipe up and click the home button at the same time, I would notice that basically the iPhone 6 would be a little bit faster. It's almost instantaneous, which is so crazy, and I was surprised when I saw it the first time. But after actually downloading and installing it, dude, and using it as like a, to test it here and there, I'm actually really, really surprised how well that tweak actually holds up. So that one is Accelerated Home Button. I like that one a lot. Now, this one I've beaten to death, and it's one of my favorite jailbreak tweaks ever, but it's still something that the iPhone 6 supports. And when I install this thing on any phone, it makes it feel 50 times better. Now, one of the best features of the iPads, and you guys already know this, which might come in iOS 14 for the iPhones, is picture in picture. And with the tweak called Force in Picture, it actually allows it on any iPhone that supports that tweak. And it's really, really basic. You don't have to go through and download this tweak and this tweak in order to make it work like we used to do. This one, you download this one tweak and it's pretty much the same picture in picture that we have on iPads and macOS and all that stuff. We can have it on our iPhones, and the iPhone 6 handles it very, very well. You know, at first I was expecting it to be a little choppy here and there, but it's really not as bad as you might think. As soon as I boot it up and I actually click that picture in picture logo, it pops it down on the screen and I can still use my phone. I can go on Instagram, Twitter, play a game or whatever, and it actually handles it fairly well. And even though the iPhone 6 only has 1 GB of RAM, it really doesn't take too much memory in the back end to do something like this. So that's definitely one of my favorite jailbreak tweaks, and I'm so happy the iPhone 6 supports it. Now, dark mode is something that the iOS 13 has, and it's actually exclusive to iOS 13 as a whole, but most jailbreak tweaks for dark mode are paid, and I'm poor. I'm not about to spend $1.49 for that. But there's super cool tweaks like Eclipse, and I think another one that did really well too. However, if you want like the basics, if you want like basic dark mode that doesn't really do dark mode on all apps, but the system preferences and system things like that will be a little shades of dark, even the keyboard, you can download this tweak called Dune from a specific repo. I'll link down in the description. And that app basically allows you to have those system dark mode elements across the board. The dock gets dark, the keyboard gets dark as well, and it's definitely a cool little tweak. I think it adds a little bit of flair to the iPhone 6 for a phone that initially doesn't support any type of dark mode. It really does kind of add a little bit of, I guess, style to the iPhone 6. It makes it feel a little bit more premium, which is definitely something I love seeing on a phone like this. Now, when I installed CC modules, I was expecting it to be pretty basic. I was expecting it for it to not be able to do much that I wanted to do, and that is 100% the case. But I'm so used to jailbreaking my phone, and I'm so used to having like basic tweaks and everything like that. So if you have a phone, CC modules basically allows you to put a ton of different control center modules in your control center, so you can access them straight from there, which is really cool, and I love seeing that. So if you want to, I would highly recommend you to download CC modules on really any iPhone. It doesn't even have to be the iPhone 6. It's one of those cool things that I love seeing, so that's definitely one of my favorite things for sure. Now, as we know with iOS 13, one of the biggest updates that we saw from the iOS 13 update would definitely be that volume HUD, the volume HUD. Basically, it doesn't take up the whole screen. It's a little sidebar, and you can increase the volume, decrease the volume straight from that. That's one of my favorite things for sure. And with this tweak called Millier from another repo, you can actually get that new volume HUD straight from this specific tweak, which is really cool. So you can still kind of feel like you have a newer iPhone, even if you don't have a newer iPhone. And I kind of, in a way, like the way this one looks than the newer one, than the one actually on iOS 13. Even though that one is a little bit more practical, I think that one, you can grab it up and down. But this one, you can do the same thing too. But I just like the way this one looks. I think it looks a little bit more minimalistic, which I really do like. Now, the last one I want to hit on would definitely be Gestures XS or Gestures 10S or whatever it is. Now, for some reason, I wasn't able to get Gestures 13 or Gestures 12 working on my iPhone 6. The Gestures 12, I actually don't even know if that's a real thing, but Gestures 13, I was not able to get working. But Gestures 10S, I was able to get working, which I was really happy about. And this is a tweak that I've been using on a 6S and other phones like that. And basically what it allows you to do is get those iPhone 11 gestures on older iPhones. So basically you can still feel like you have a newer iPhone, even though you don't. And that's one of my favorite things ever. I feel like I've said that in every single one. That's one of my favorite things ever, quote unquote. But one of the most outdated things of the iPhone 6 would definitely have been that home button. Whenever you click it, whenever you do anything with it, you have to manually click that home button, which is actually one of the tweaks I mentioned earlier. And this one actually eliminates you using it. Now it's still there, obviously you can still use it and everything, but going from day to day, it just makes you feel like you have a much better phone than you actually do, because you go to Apple Store, you go to Best Buy, you see all these newer iPhones and mess with them, and they all have that gesture-based design. But with the iPhone 6, you now have that capability where you don't have to, pick either or. You can actually go and mess with this phone and use gestures, which is really cool. And like I've said before, I literally love that. That's one of my favorite features about this phone for sure. And that's one of the reasons why, after jailbreaking, you just unlock so many cool little features. And the iPhone 6 surprisingly handles it very, very well. I've jailbroken many phones that couldn't necessarily support some tweaks that, were really glitchy here and there with the tweaks that they had. But this one handled it very, very well. And I'm really happy about the way the iPhone 6 was kind of, running it throughout. Now, battery life has been pretty good as well. I will hit on that. I would say it's about like 90% to 95% the same. A lot of the tweaks that I mentioned here don't really take up a lot of the battery life, besides the speed tweaks that I've mentioned, they're all pretty basic at their core, which is really good. And at the end of the day, dude, I would highly recommend you to jailbreak your iPhone 6 or even any older iPhone. I've mentioned so many tweaks in this video that if you have it, if you want it, you should go download it. It's definitely, one of the cooler things about this phone for sure. It definitely unlocks so much value into a phone like this. So that really pretty much covers it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those things will link down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys to check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.